Oh, hello. Hello, Visky. On your stream, I can't see any video. Is that just because you haven't got an LU up yet? Getting quite a bit of lag. Okay, that's no better. Just given this is partially a speedrunning stream, I should have started off with an Escape Venture Explorer speedrun. I didn't think about doing that. I wasn't that clever. Accounts are a pretty bob for this stream. Yeah, I've got yours up on mine as well. Chat too. Yeah, I went with low latency. Turns out I should have gone with like minimal latency, judging by the delay. It's not brilliant, but fortunately, chat's fortunately or unfortunately, chat's not hugely active. Okay, I see you. See your thing loading in. Okay, this isn't that bad. This is like, I think 10 seconds, something like that. It's not brilliant, but at least it's not 2 minutes. I am perfectly capable of lagging for 10 seconds, as I'm sure anyone who's watched my videos knows. I'm very, very good at talking nonsense. Okay, so I've just started with completing the character, but I figure we can always do a little bit of monument investigation. Coming through to Bank Gardens in a second or two. For anyone who is in the chat, dust no. For want of a better word. Stop it with the slopes. Currently is 100% abusing slopes. So one of the things I was looking at the other day is the engine. The engine used to make LU is the same that's used to. Well, you were in chat at the time, actually. You know. Oh, hello! Have I just broken this? Hello. I've just broken something. Hello. Who is that? That's Prev. Hello, Prev. Okay, I've just crashed at LU. Good start to the stream. Can be very long. That's good. Yep. Trevor. You don't have a YouTube account, right? But if you want to like test stuff out alongside us, be my guest. Oh, and for those, my Ethernet. For those of you wondering, if you are in the only speedrunning thing, why Rem's in the chat, it's because he has submitted a speedrun, and as the speedrunner tag, speedrunners can join the. Down on my end, that's interesting. At least that's what's going on. Okay, I can't hear either of you. Does that mean my audio I've just broken something? Okay, this is not great. Don't know what's going on. Okay, are we? I've just got a latency. Okay. Okay. You hear me now? Let's try to reconnect.
Loud and clear.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I think when I plugged in the Ethernet cable, the network changed, just disconnecting me from stuff. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I think when it also doesn't like clipping properly. The network just disconnecting me from stuff. So it may just come undone. I hope it doesn't, but that may happen. That may be a thing. Woo. Hey. That smashable definitely is a thing. I'm never certain when it's meant to spawn and when it is. It isn't. Okay. Turns out today. I definitely have seen. I think LCDR, you have seen that crop up. I have seen it crop up before. Something like that. Okay, let's try and. Today, evidently. Command /world, or is it test map? Thank God. No. In fact, starting slow. Sorry, I can't quite see this latency. That's there. Okay. Requesting transfer to a bank gardens. I'd happily take that. I'm on Uchi at the moment. The most recent version, though. I don't remember why. It's basically whenever I updated Uchi last. But I appear to have Okay, I'm guessing this was the Ethernet cable plugging and unplugging that just killed it. I think. Start this server, at the very least the world server. Okay, there we are. That should kick me out. Hopefully I can log back in. And ooh, is it something there? So again, that's very strange. Yeah. Okay. For those of you who've just tuned in, yeah, so what's going on is I've managed to break Uchu like 2 or 3 times already and disconnect an Ethernet cable from my computer. Meanwhile, Vicey has managed to find a slope, because Vicey finds slopes now. That's what he does. Yeah. I don't think Uchu's broken at the moment. I think it's working. It's just taking a little while. Maybe. Or maybe I'm just gonna restart Uchu, because it hasn't actually started the world server and it really should have. You download the game. Go to lusprojects.github.io, and that will give you your answer. I'll put the link in the chat. Currently, we are playing on the Uchu server. The Uchu server is linked. I say we're playing. Are you playing on that, Vicey? Okay, so we're currently both playing on the Uchu server, which you'll be able to find on that link, and you'll be able to find set of instructions also on that link. Yeah. Enjoy. Okay, let's get Uchu back up. Let's unbreak everything. Yeah, I'm interested to know at what point your speed starts to attenuate, because I don't think that... I think air resistance is pretty high in LEGO Universe. Like, I think you reach a terminal velocity quite quickly. If you start from a certain height, it doesn't actually get you much more. Yeah, I mean, as long as you can spawn items in, you can always... Okay, I've got Uchu working again. Cool. I've unbroken it. Yeah, you could always go off the world and then spawn some objects. The only issue is, yeah, you can't get arbitrarily shaped terrain. You can only get pre-existing objects. Okay. Just seriously confused the game. It just did the Avant Garden's landing thing as I landed in the Venture Explorer. That's good. And the hashtag wasn't meant to be there. Sazy or KZ, don't know how you want me to pronounce that. Or KZ. Or CZ. I don't know. I think that's pretty much every permutation of how I could possibly pronounce it, but let me know if I missed it. Ooh. Don't stop doing this to me. I'm not going to make it to Avant Gardens at this rate. I could just. Yeah, I'm doing that now. There we are. Okay. LPLs. Slowing some triggers. This. Okay. Yep. That's interesting because this wasn't a bug that used to be an issue from memory. I've got I don't know, as I said before, it's whenever I last updated it, which was quite a while back. I can actually, once this loads, I can probably check somewhat. Okay, get GitHub on my commands, my taskbar. Seems on my part. Okay. If anyone watching my stream, Avant Gardens is loading in. No, I don't want you to fetch Origin. I don't fetch Origin because if you do that. Okay, so I'm currently on the experimental A-star branch, which no longer exists. So that should give you some idea of how outdated I am at the moment. Just got to see the loading thing. Oh yeah, no, that is. Yeah, no, that is. I just managed to get through. I've just landed in Avant Gardens pretty much, and I'm still carrying my rocket. I quite like to not be carrying that rocket, if I'm honest. I need to do physics trigger. Arrived. That's okay. Let's just make my way over to the monument. Wait, have you been speed running on this particular character? Okay, I was just wondering because you are allowed the level 20. I think it's level 20. I know, Funky corrected me on that in the past, but you're allowed that speed boost for the monument. Good done. Ooh! Oh, even more congratulations then. I don't. But although in fairness, you don't ever use your character's running speed because you're on slopes the entire time. I know I'm exaggerating slightly, but I doubt it would make too much difference. But I mean, it definitely would be faster because you definitely are under run speed for some of it at least. You love the game. You love the game. C or KZ. I don't know how you want me to pronounce it still. But yeah, it's a very good game. I think. Vaisky, can you second that it is a good game? You said it, so it's true. Wait a second. So, I mean, there are a limited number of places you could. Oh. I'm testing out the slopes. I think of this terrain as flat and uninteresting, but there are quite a lot of slopes there, actually. I'm. Oh yeah, I see. Yeah, that's roughly what I'm looking at. There's one particular set of vertices that looks pretty steep. It's along that line. There's one indentation. The ground gets dark. I'm currently standing on it. And yeah, that's actually pretty steep. Why am I doing this? Why am I doing the monument speedrun in the same stream as Vice Ski? Why would I do this to myself? This is not a clever thing to do. Vice Ski's going to end up with what, a 19.5 by the end of this, and I'm still not going to have made it up once. Yeah, so one of the other things I'm relatively interested in is how does speed work when you're going up a slope? Because I know in something like Roblox, you just get a fixed amount of you get a fixed amount of horizontal speed, and even if you're going up a really steep slope, you maintain a constant horizontal speed. I'm wondering if LEGO Universe does the same thing as long as you're not, as long as you don't enter the slipping mode. Ooh, okay. Okay. Decided doing all this on stream. I suppose also technically there is one extra speed boost we haven't ever thought about, which is the moving platform. So technically that isn't allowed in this speed run because it's got to be achieved on all servers, and moving platforms can't do on Uni. But if you could time falling precisely so you got crushed by the moving platform, cancel that. For that stage, because they won't, the moving platform itself will just have a fixed position. And you're just a capture. So the moving platform won't react to your position. So the only way the game can sort of resolve the collision is by moving you out of the way. I wonder if you could actually speed boost if the top of your player character got clipped by a moving platform, because it's applying effectively infinite force as the game would see it. Which is how to resolve that. It's not out actually. Future doesn't have the glides jetpack. I don't have the skill for jetpack to test this out. Nope, we're not there. But yeah, and the other thing is the moving platform does set your speed to set your speed to to the speed you're moving on it plus its speed. So potentially, if any map which has moving things, you might be able to abuse that. How that would work in this thing, because this thing, the second you're on the moving platform, you're already past the start line. Definitely does give you a speed boost compared to sure anyway. Yeah, like the ends. Do you? I know I've seen your diagram. You sent to. I think it was Preb you were sending it to. Mabadenkri, or about the ends. But that's primarily just which jumps you can make. Have you ever actually gotten slide speed much on the end, or have you incorporated that into the route? Because there definitely are some slight speed width. The question is, can you get to those slopes more efficiently than just running straight? I don't know if you can. I think the setup would take more time than you'd actually save. I've just been looking at that. How close does your route get to there? Normal runner. You did cut out for a second on Discord. You're back now. Okay. The true pro speedrunner move that I've got to throw out there is, you know, the bridge you have to rebuild to get to the monument. You go up to and you know, like the supports that are already there sticking out upwards out of the ground. It is possible to land on those. And it is technically possible to get speed off of all of them. You'd have to be uber precise, but it is possible. I mean, would that even make that much difference? Like, okay, no, I refuse to accept the Shark Bite 3 speed run. He's gonna keep trying to push it, but I refuse. Oh, I forgot we've got whilst I'm using the experimental A-star version, I utterly forgot we have AI. And so a Stromling moving just freaks the heck out of me. I wonder if it's, I mean, partially, so lots of the small rocks, they don't actually have collisions and hitbox, or they don't have any like complicated collisions and hitboxes, like you can stand in them and it doesn't actually affect the physics. You know what? Actually, it's fine. Not 100% certain. I totally thought, I've got to admit. Oh yeah. Yeah, part of it is like, so if something is too small, then okay, let's check. Oh, is it like carton's loading, or have I just broken this again? Broken it. Does not look like it's loading. It's a shame. So we're reloading it. I've actually forgot what I was saying. Broke it again. Yeah, I should just actually update to a more recent version. We'll do that quickly. Actually, no. Let's just keep going. Let's keep going with the one we have. It just means I won't be able to do the hardcore LU. Yeah, it definitely does. There's jumping, or also landing as, yeah. I mean, landing's obvious because that just gives you slope speed from wherever you are. One interesting thing though is double jumping, double jump attacking versus jumping. Because double jump attacking, because you've got the attack animation when you land, I think, I might be wrong, but I'm fairly certain that actually cancels slope speed. Which isn't useful for this, but might be quite useful for some harder parkour type challenges. Like, you know the imagination brick challenge? put out there. Like I think as of right now, there is that you can get any closer than that particular bit of rock sticking upwards, but the only way I could come up with to actually you to that particular bit of rock, I'm an idiot. Yeah, I just closed down the server. I just wasn't thinking. I literally just hit X. Why did I do that? Oh god. Ninja's broken. Yeah. So I'm thinking, I don't know how many uses that has for speedrunning, but for precision stuff, that could actually be quite useful. Yeah. Yeah, I can see stuff like that working. Load this again. Let's hopefully not break it again this time. With a bit of as part of the as part of me pushing the publicity for hardcore OU, I'm going to do a little bit of spiderling fighting. And test out the foot race. I know. I mean, did you ever play Bop It as a kid? Probably would have been called something different in Finnish, yeah. Let me just put it in the chat. Or my computer won't let me put it. But yeah, that was the game, and it's sort of you've got to input a series of things, like it will tell you to do something, you have to do it, and it gets faster and faster. And I always found 100% of the time that I got worse as I repeatedly did it over the course of a day. I would come and not having done it in months, and would get would complete it in one go, and then I would just fail it, and then if I tried it again, I'd lose after one. I'd actually be quite interested to try that again at some point. Hashtag stream ideas. Eventually I'd break down and just do Bop It. Are you getting speed from the lampposts? I did. Yeah, maybe doing individual world, not touching the floor challenges might actually be quite interesting, because it's not possible to go through the entire game without touching the floor. But it may well be possible to go through. You get pretty much stuck the second you reach the back gardens. Yeah, I don't know. I did. It began to get looser and looser with the definitions as time went on. So but like I think rocks, etc., rocks, trees, it wouldn't count as ground. I can't remember though if rocks are their own objects, or if all rocks are, or if some of them are built in as part of the terrain. Because I know like mountains, etc., are. I think you'd have to have like some very specific rules about. So in back gardens, for instance, about saying anything that's green counts as the ground. Or like anything with the specific texture, I think you'd have to do it that way. Because there are definitely enough rocks. The other problem is certain missions as well will teleport you into place. And certain quick builds you need to use will also move you into place. Do a little bit of hardcore LU. It'd be nice if we could actually load that Darwin etc. can, but like he's not allowed to like give us the program. Yeah, it would be quite interesting. Take a look at that. Yeah, I feel like if you do that though, at some point it does become too easy. Not necessarily mean easy, you know what I mean? But points, like some precision parts would be instantly would become so easy with you're allowed to do it 3 times. Yeah, I think it's one of those things where you'd have to have the speedrun for a modded map. Yeah. There's me just losing the 0 death streak for Bob. RIP. Okay, let's see. I suppose what you could do, rather than saying you you can't touch the ground at all, do a minimum touching the ground. So it wouldn't be a speedrun or anything. You just have the challenge to touch the ground for as little time as possible. And the issue, yeah, now I'm looking at not touching the ground, and I'm wondering if I can get past this bit. And how do you define when the challenge starts and ends? You can't really any percent it, because there's no defined end. You could do, I don't know, something like smashing butterscotch. You could manage. Smashing butterscotch, how far can you go without touching the ground? What do we know? How little can you touch the ground? You know what I mean. That might actually be quite a good challenge. I think it is just about possible. Actually, okay, so missions are glitchy at the moment, but you can make it to Wisply without touching the ground. Well, no, I don't remember how much of. You've got a problem when it comes to building your rocket in the Venture Explorer. Touching Fracture on butterscotch. It's not a bad idea, frankly. Yeah. Fracture? I don't know. Fracture. People seem to think Fracture's like I don't know. I never really would have used Fracture as a measure of success. I suppose it forces you to go to Ninjago and do Ninjago side of things. I also don't remember how difficult it was. I've utterly forgot what I'm trying to start touching the ground, and now I'm just running everywhere. I mean, or there could be some sort of you've got to get this selection. I suppose you could 100% achievements do that. If I say that, Funky's just instantly going to be thinking, ooh, Shark Bite. That would include Shark Bite 3. Hardcore LU 100% mode. It's going to be pretty difficult. You gotta. So that is true. I don't know. People have discussed Springbox in some way, shape, or form. But yeah, okay. I think that's a good point. You probably can't 100% all achievements because it's not just your box. It's like beta testing shirts. But we could effectively 100% all of them. And we could just have like the 97% speedrun or whatever it was. The only issue is it would be impossible to have an any percent category like that. Well, no, okay, I suppose any percent up to smashing butterscotch would work. That would be fine. I feel like actually, how far can you get without touching the ground? That might be quite a good challenge because you can do that on stuff like on Woolus and upwards. You can pretty much do it if you're willing to wait a bit of time. You can pretty much do that on the uni. I think the one issue is how do you count running and jumping along the ground? Because like, I don't know, do you count the time between like successive jumps landing on the ground. So if I have more than one jump, because that's still a little bit. I think you could definitely get that. And yes, Funky, okay, I get there are achievements we can't do. He's just posting achievements in my chat. It's just you can't 100% achievements without the Nexus Jaw box. There's also the one for getting a high property ranking. That would be a very long-term speed run. How well can you build a property without without ever touching the ground? Support this. Oh, stop doing damage to me. I really should go to a version of Uchu that doesn't have enemies or something like that. We need like Minecraft as peaceful mode. I need that, but for LU. Like it's possible to jump on top of this little branch here. I'm gonna do my usual check, which is to see if the player shadow at any point is able to rest on it, because that's calculated by this. I'm sure one of the devs could clarify on that, but I've been using that as a standard for a while now, that player shadows follow physics. Feel like there's manage it. Anyway. Yeah. So I'm also quite interested in how. So the game seems to determine when you're on a slope past a certain angle, then you enter a slide, right? But what happens if you are, because the player is shaped like a capsule, right? Which means the bottom part of it is a sphere. So what actually happens? You can't jump over the top. Trust me, I've spent hours trying. Actually, no, I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't say that because that's the one way of guaranteeing that you can. So I take that back. Yeah, the question is, yeah, what happens when they're either side? Because simultaneously, you may be touching two slopes which are steeper than you're able to walk on, but actually physically that would be a perfectly stable position. So I wonder how Game Gear would handle that. Oh, stop hitting me! I need LU peaceful mode.
Oh, someone just commented on your chat that they can't wait until this is open.
Can't wait for this to be open. This is open.
Yeah.
This is open, Daniel Cunningham. You can you'll see the link I posted to KZ. That's download. If you follow the links from that page, you can download Uchu, which is the server Vicey and I are both playing right now. And yeah, it's not the most feature complete thing ever, which is why we're doing what we're doing. Trying to make it really difficult because that's a good thing to do for some reason, and sort of just analysing the physics of it. But yeah, the server we're on, that's open.
That's one thing I'm thinking, that in your second latest video, the NinjaOfLU video, there was, I think, one person asking that they can't wait like until it's open so they can try it or something. And I'm still thinking, well, does the thing that everyone thinks that like everything is closed or something?
I think it's a DLU sort of thing. I think it's the one server that's the first server everyone hears about is DLU.
Yeah.
Automatically assume that nothing but DLU. And then maybe and then the second server you hear about, I suppose, is LCDRU, and of course that's closed as well. And so I can see where it comes from.
Yeah.
Because YouTube isn't that well publicized outside of our videos.
Yeah. But it does kind of make sense though to think that there would only be like one project, because when you join the community and think there's one, like a game from like 8 years ago that closed, and you find there is a project, I don't think many people would think that there are many people doing different ones.
Yeah, you're quite surprised to find there's even one.
Yeah.
I remember the days of finding out that LCDRU existed, because of course loads of you people have been around since everyone knew about LCDRU. I didn't. I remember those days when he was just slowly releasing stuff to his YouTube channel, and nobody knew that much. I think people who'd been in the community a while knew who he was. I don't know actually if he was active in hashtag development at that point. But yeah, I remember that. Those were the days of having no idea who this LCDR guy was, and it's just like, other than the fact that he used to be big on the forums, those were the days. So it was like, wait, there might be more than one project happening now.
Yeah, that's one thing I really wish, like, when I started studying English, I would have paid attention, because if I would have been like a part of this community like 3 years ago, I think 3, 4, if I would have known how to speak English or write English to some level. And I'm just thinking who my speedruns would be if I would have started 4 years ago.
I mean, in fairness, like, over years, that's pretty much as long as I've been here. But yeah, I can't help. I don't know. I can't help but feel it's about Lego Universe Restoration projects for a lot longer than I've been active. Like, some sort of incentive to become active. A while for servers to get complete enough that I sort of found mine. So, yeah. I think that the minimum jump time, actually, this could be quite a good challenge. No, I fell. Not the minimum jump time, the minimum walking on ground time. There's lots of stuff, because that sort of combines the challenge about getting speed off of objects, but like across the entire map. I really like this as an idea.
Yeah, and I think the thing that makes it, like, because it has the same idea as a speedrun, like, the less you get, the better. But this case, it can be like, you can take a 30-minute break in avant-garde and it doesn't, like, mean anything for the run.
Yeah, agree.
Yeah, and like...
And I feel you can also maybe recover a little bit easier, because if you, I don't know, maybe that's a false economy, but not like a speed run where maybe a single death or a single fall can end the run completely. It feels like this: you may touch the ground once, but as long as your reflexes are fast enough, that can save you, and you can just jump back onto wherever you were. I'm sure certain places would have difficult things that would kick people out, but I feel it might be a more entry-level friendly project sort of thingy. I don't know. So where can we go from here? Actually, I've sort of just, this is what happens the second I start talking. I just start running about randomly and utterly forget the fact that I'm trying to do a challenge.
Yeah, I did the same. I was doing the same jumps again and again behind the monument.
So, get onto the back of that.
Yeah.
Let's walk and roll. This might be a feasible challenge. So we need to do it in some way. We couldn't have it quest chain oriented because that then precludes people on like previous versions. Because like, I mean, this is sort of like the monument speedrun, I suppose, in the fact that yeah, in theory, you don't need anything.
Yeah.
You don't need that good a server to run it.
I think
you can definitely jump off there.
If it would become a challenge, I think it would be like, it would have a lot of like subcategories, like the challenge on VE and HE would be different, like not the same run, because that would mean that kind of like what Ian Angry had, that he focused more on the VE run and I on the monument, and yeah, I think that would have to happen, because then people who would be on like Vilas and stuff, they couldn't do the VE palette, but they could still have a chance to like try the HE one.
I think there's something to be said for multi-parting the challenges anyway, but I also think what it could be worthwhile doing is then having it in any way mission related, have it you need to get to say to where butter scorches, because you can't actually defeat butter scorch or anything, and worlds when you reach the launch pad or something. And so you do the run sequentially. The only issue is that it might be a little bit might end up getting quite difficult to like mediate those runs and sort of prove you've done a single continuous run if you're having to like teleport between worlds and like fly back up.
Yeah. Well, when we think about like speedruns that would have missions, I guess one way to do those would be that you actually don't have to accept the missions, you have to just replicate what would happen in the missions. Like if you would have to do the Epsilon mission of beating 15 Stormlings, then you just basically would go to spots where they would be hit once and move on, like that. That could be. It would mean that it wouldn't be perfectly timed though, because
yeah, I feel that's one of those things that's possible, but also would have a room for a lot of cheese, because you could sort of say, oh yeah, this pretty much worked. Like no one would be able to tell whether how the enemies would have spawned had you actually done it properly.
Yeah.
Okay, so like AG you could do. This is actually a really fun challenge for me, because like it's sort of the whole minimum touching the ground thing, because one that doesn't require me to have good reflexes. I just need to come up with clever parkour routes. Just come up with some parkour routes.
I also have not yet picked up this halt flag up here that I always look at. And I don't think I want to pick it up anymore, just as it's a good reminder to not pick it up.
Oh, okay, interesting. This is really interesting. So I'm currently standing in a spot between a tree, in the Avant Gardens area.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Daniel.
Yeah, I was thinking
I'll get to you in a second.
Yeah.
Sorry. No, so I'm just standing between this tree and this dustbin, and I can currently... I'm entering slipping mode. Now, those are two completely distinct hitboxes. If I smashed one of them, I would slip. It's technically possible to get between two objects. Or to 3 slopes, none of which are... and to be able to sort of stand in between all of them completely stably without entering slip mode. That's actually interesting. Okay, Daniel Cunningham, which LU project is the most promising in your opinion? That's tough. It depends what you mean by most promising. That is, yeah, as questions go, there could not be a more loaded question to ask in the LU community. Yeah, it sort of depends what you mean. So, like, in terms of which project do I think will perhaps release first, or which project do I think people will get the most enjoyment out of, like, over the coming years? Because obviously, any project that releases first, over the coming years, you'd get more enjoyment out of. But like better projects, you get more enjoyment. I don't know. That's genuinely really difficult. So sort of this is where the projects stand in my mind. We've got one will release first. That's an far easier question. Uchu. Yeah, because Uchu's already out there. I'm assuming when you say that, you mean which one will get a complete game out first. The thing is, quite recent, until pretty recently, I would have said LCDRU. Uh-oh. I'm an idiot to go to Nimbus Station, but I don't have enough free slots on my... I shouldn't have enough free slots on my server. How's it letting me go there?
Yeah.
I don't have an open port. Why are you letting me... Okay.
Don't guess, then it happened to me too.
We'll see what happens. I will just continue to shout at my computer later. Which one will release first? Yeah, until recently, I would have said LCDRU, because unlike DLU, LCDR has just sort of been working. It's never really put itself under any undue pressure. Yeah, that would have been a solid bet for me. However, recently, what started to happen is... that would have been had you asked me a couple of months back. However, LCDRU at the moment has been working on some more sort of, well, yeah, just different topics. For instance, LCDR's done a lot of stuff with security, etc., like the single sign-on server, which he recently published and which now we've got a compatibility for with Uchu. And it's one of those things that it's development, but because it's development anyone can use, does that really count as part of LCDRU? I mean, LCDR will be using it in LCDRU, but he's putting time into making sure anyone can use it, which means it's going to take longer because you're trying to make it compatible for more different things. And so given that, I don't know if LCDRU still is my best bet. Same with Uchu. So, well, not quite the same, but with Uchu, the thing is we've got... am I loading? I can't tell if I'm... I think this has just broken. Okay, let's reload Uchu. Yeah, so the thing with Uchu is that... it's really high. Uchu, basically, we've got Vincent is the one active dev on Uchu, but he's possible to predict. He could just as easily update the README or add scripting or something that doesn't actually like change gameplay but makes it easier for developers to work with, or like implementing LCDR's single sign-on server thing. AI. He could do anything, and it's impossible to predict. I don't think But I think the way he works, I don't think we will get a complete game from Uchu at any point, because he will just do what's interesting. And if implementing the next mission on the mission chain isn't what particularly catches his interest, he probably won't do it, because this is just his spare time. In that regard, we're coming up to DLU. DLU are not crooks. They're the servers who are most focused at the moment on their own servers. So, yeah. They put the most towards them. Like, Simon from Op Crooks recently, for some reason, I'm not totally certain why, started advertising Op Crooks. It seemed very, very strange because, like, not going to be out for quite a while. But still, your Op Crooks are my best bets at the moment. And honestly, with the number of rewrites DLU have gone through, they're probably at their server is currently at a similar state to Op Crooks. The only thing is that DLU are further ahead in terms of knowledge. They do know things that Op Crooks don't. In regards to, they were teasing an open beta, but it still hasn't come out. So I don't think they've never put a firm timeline on when they're going to do open beta. They've put a firm timeline on closed beta, and it's very, very, like, it's a technicality that closed beta has happened. Like, the winter testing technically counts as closed beta, and that is them getting out of the promise they made to beta. Closed beta, for all intents and purposes, hasn't begun yet, and what DLU realised is they promised way too much way too early, and I don't think they're going to do that again. Sorry, I should also start loading up Uchu again. Yeah. They're not going to make that mistake twice. I'd say next at least a year or so before beta. I think closed beta closed beta definitely won't happen within the next 6 months from DLU. Probably won't happen within the next year. I don't know. It's genuinely, like, in the past, I would have found that so easy to predict. I would have had, like, I just see Vicey's stream, I just see a floating platform just leaving him behind.
Yeah.
In the past, it would have been so easy to predict. I could have answered that easily. But the development landscape has just changed so much. Like, LCDR is no longer solely working on LCDRU. And that's just strange. Like, he's doing a lot more open source stuff. Yeah, I have no idea. I think in terms of what will happen for the community, I think what's most likely is that hopefully something like the speedrun or the challenge thing, that's going to build up into, like, more of a community. Because, yeah, I have no idea when we're going to end up getting some proper closed game. But the thing is, and that's sort of why we're doing this stream today, you don't need to have a complete game to still have a decent amount of fun on a server. And so, like, I think we will have large things happening for the community, which will be a lot of fun, a long time before we have a fully public server. And if I had to guess which server will be running that, my main, and sort of, like, powering that, my main guess would be Uchu. Rain really wants to push LUJS. I honestly don't see that happening, see that becoming a major server, if I'm honest. I feel like if we're going to have a big server that comes out, it's going to be Uchu. And it could be a lot of fun. It's quite honestly a question, at the moment, it's a question of is there anyone in the community experienced enough and with enough technical knowledge to host it, and with the desire to host it and run it, etc. Okay. Audience and infestation. How far can we go without touching the ground?
Oh,
Right.
so I just seem to somehow fall under the floor in Uchu. I seem to have hit some moving platform at some moment.
Oh, it's the moving platform glitch.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, so that's another interesting thing about LU speedrunning. The question is, how are we going to deal with like server-side bugs? Because technically, there will be bugs like the moving platform bug that is possible to trigger. Do we include them in speedruns or not?
I think there should be, like in normal speedrunning, there are like the different categories. Like we have the escape VE, like the any and all. I think there should be, for example, the one category added, which would be like, I don't know how we would name it, but basically everything allowed that was, everything allowed that doesn't like, I don't know how it should be worded, like anything basically a normal player can do. Like you can't use commands, but you can glitch. Like
The only issue is what's defined as a glitch.
Like
because
yeah,
there are lots of things.
I think
By glitches depends on what the server is.
I think like it's hard to explain everything that is allowed. It's a lot easier if you just name things that aren't allowed. Like for example, you can't use any like chat commands to use cheats, but you can still like go out of bounds if that's able, if that's possible to do with just like a speed signal in hands or something like that. Like
the problem is that going out of bounds, that's pretty much okay. Aside from like requiring a quixcle, that's pretty much engine independent, pretty much server independent, because it's all to do with the LU physics engine. So I feel
so
challenge to be able to say a similar thing for stuff like abusing moving platforms. Because what if originally LU allowed a particular type of platform abuse, but a particular server patches that out? You then need to specify precisely whether or not that glitch is allowed, like which server version you need to use. I mean, saying which server version you need to use isn't a bad thing in general, I'd say, but it's something that you definitely need to think quite carefully about.
Yeah, I think in case if you would want like a speedrun or challenge where you can use glitches, it should be like we should try to find the most like a buggy server possible, like maybe some abandoned one, but it should just at least get like the player select or make it like the only thing has to be that it can get into avant gardens and you can walk. Basically after that, like glitches, more glitches the better, because people can get more creative on what to do.
I'm updating my configuration file so I can use more world ports, because otherwise this is going to get on my nerves a little bit. So I have to reload Uchu for it to take effect, but I need to reload it at some point anyway when I go to the next place. So you can definitely... is far less interesting, but you can definitely get around in the station without touching the ground pretty easily.
Also, someone commented on your stream about the physics engine.
Physics engine. Question. If you're not standing across all servers, parts are, parts aren't. So for stuff like that's a really difficult question. Okay, so for stuff like moving platforms, there are things you've got to send between the server and the client for moving platforms to work. So that's the cause, I'm pretty certain, of the falling beneath the floor glitch in Uchu. you've got some packets which are sent when you're meant to go onto a moving platform, which don't get sent. There are things like checks about physics that the server should perform that it doesn't necessarily have to perform. So, like, you will by default use a physics engine. You'll by default have a physics engine within the game, but the server also needs to be able to do some physics. And so whether or not something is standard across all servers does depend on which particular aspect of physics you're looking at. That answers the question somewhat. So stuff like with moving platforms, that wouldn't necessarily be the same across all servers. That could be potentially quite buggy, whereas like sliding and stuff like gaining slope speed, that will almost certainly be standard across all servers. The only way it really couldn't be standard across all servers is if one server like added a speed limit of what a character could naturally travel at to sort of test for people using a cheaty CD client for hacks. For hacks in inverted commas, I should clarify. That would be.
I should probably mute my phone.
God, that's confused me. See you, Funky. Confused me so much for a second there. Okay. So you can get the red block stadium. That's just a lot of small, precise jumps. Those work. And that's not too. It's not too bad. And honestly, like, yeah, you'd have to think a little carefully about what actually counts as ground around here. This is all doable. Okay, so for those of you who are just tuning in at the moment, I'm not 100% certain what Vice's doing. I'm just running around checking, basically looking at the challenge. Can you get between all the worlds? Or no. The challenge will be getting between all the worlds, spending the minimum amount of time touching the ground. Now, it's going to require a lot of sort of noting down precisely what counts as ground, because, like, for instance, this terrain. Does this terrain necessarily count as ground? That's a little bit of a difficult call to make, but actually, it's looking like it could actually be a really fun speedrun, not speedrun, really fun challenge if you get the definitions right. Okay. That's what I'm doing at the moment. Vicey, what are you up to? For those of you who don't know, Vicey is streaming on his channel, which is Vicey Macrocosm. There are links to that in the links to his stream in the LU Speedrunning Discord, and links to his channel on which the stream is hosted in the LUCH. Got to do that. Yeah, Vicey, what are you up to?
Yeah, I'm currently trying the Nimbo Station foot race. I'm dying to see. There seems to be a problem that it doesn't let you finish even though you have enough time. It says that you ran out of time in a specific spot always if you are trying to do it on the same character. So I would have to always restart the character or pull the new one. I'm not sure which one it is to try it again.
It's odd.
Yeah, but
that's a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know why it happens, but it happens in the exact spot. So if I would have to say why, I'd say it's maybe that the timer doesn't like reset or something. It probably has something to do with that it knows your previous record. I'm not sure why. Because
that's maybe, yeah. Maybe you're always going against your previous record.
Yeah.
Because it shouldn't be something that breaks an issue. That's interesting though, because if it knows, because your record isn't saved server side.
Yeah.
I'm about 100% certain of that. So that would imply the client is somehow saving your record, but that's
Yeah.
thing for the client to suddenly decide to save.
Yeah, and the thing is that, like, the last time I tried it was, like, I think this morning, which would mean it still does the glitch even after I have, like, turned off the server and turned it back. So it isn't like resetting or turning off the server and turning back on, it would fix it.
Are you is it the same point regardless of character?
I can try.
What I'm wondering is maybe it's a thing where just the timer is just counting down from those initial, like, whatever, 40 seconds you have and isn't being added to. But I don't know why that would randomly be happening in this particular server version, because, like, that is entirely client-side, and I know I've done them myself and seen Encro do them, and it hasn't had this problem, so I don't know. Although maybe I just haven't ever done one of these speedruns more than once. That is also quite possible. Going to a bit of valley thing, that's pretty doable. Tower, what is that? Okay, I'm falling. And for anyone interested, the server, I'm just going to occasionally say this, the server we are currently running is UCHU, which you can find on lusprojects.github.io. And the second I say that, someone just left the stream.
Well done. I think the thing for before your next stream you should maybe think about would be getting like a bot for your chat that people can just like type what's the explanation mark and then server, and it just says that this is running on UCHU. You can find UCHU at just and then the GitHub and stuff like that. So that's not
a bad idea.
Yeah, and then if someone like asks popular guest, then you can just like basically have a copy paste answer, as long as like it's a good answer and not just something like no you. It actually can work really good, which was what I was using on Twitch when someone asked like audio settings or something. I could just link ho, and I wouldn't have to like spend the time of 15 minutes every day explaining something. The same thing.
You've got a problem with me just replying with no you? That's more my question.
Well, it's not.
I'm just trying to be diplomatic when answering this question.
Yeah. To be honest,
basically is the answer he's going for, but he's trying to phrase it nicely to spare my feelings.
To be honest, like I feel like you could, because you know so much of physics, you could just like do a second channel where you just do videos like the physics behind no you, and you can just say like things that are not true, but it sounds legit, which is enjoyable to watch. A 30-minute video of why something is. What?
It is impressive how much. Well, I mean, the movie industry makes a killing out of that, but it's impressive how much you can just by adding like one assumption, which isn't too hard to slide past people, how much you can break physics.
Yeah,
it's good fun. He says as a fan of physics.
There was something about like absolute zero there. The degree out there. Anyway, that movies seem to pretty often. At least they seem to like say that we have to go to that specific. Then isn't it like currently impossible to get like specific to the coldest?
Not only is it currently impossible, it requires an infinite amount. Well, with our current knowledge of physics and like I feel like saying that implies it could change. Like, it would require pretty much everything we've known about physics for the past, like, 500-600 years to be not just a little bit flawed, not just sort of, hey, Einstein's just invented relativity, flawed, like saying Newton was flawed. Not how flawed Newton was. It would require it to be like everything to be completely wrong. Like if we managed absolute zero, that's equivalent to free energy, basically. If anyone achieves absolute zero, we can get infinite energy out of the universe. If we can get infinite energy out of the universe, there's a theorem called Noether's theorem, which basically implies, well, effectively mathematically what it states is physics no longer exists. Because if we can get infinite energy out of the universe, Noether's theorem breaks down, which means that an experiment, if you like, perform an experiment at different times, basically setup of the experiment, which makes sense. And physics and like all of science depends on something being repeatable. If you can break conservation of energy, physics is no longer repeatable, and yeah, everything breaks down. So yeah, kids, if you can manage to get absolute zero, tell a physicist, because you have just broken physics. And like science in general, and pretty much the entire way we see the world. Anyway, rant aside, I'm going to go over to probably Gnarled Forest. Or I'm going to go over to whatever 1,300 is. I think that's Gnarled Forest.
Also,
Then we started talking about physics on stream, Maisky.
yeah, I also was gonna say, midway you talking, you lost one viewer, so it was 5, then 6, and now it's back to 5, so I guess someone joined midway you talk about physics, and
so it's down to 4 now. Someone left because I stopped talking about physics. Whoever that person is, I like them.
It might be just like they saw on LUCH that, oh, Ninja is streaming speedrunning, let's go check, and he comes here and you are just talking about really complicated physics.
They find yeah, it's me standing there ranting about Noether's theorem. Yeah, no, for those of you who've just tuned in, I promise I do LU speedrunning as well. Well, okay, no, not LU speedrunning. I do stuff. Right, he's the speedrunner. If you want to see someone who's actually good at that sort of thing, check him out. Yeah, so that's. Well, okay, so I wonder, maybe it could be something YouTube related that your timer isn't working properly. Because I know I was talking with Vincent about this relatively recently. For those who are wondering why I'm just standing here, I'm currently loading in Gnarled Forest. I was talking to Vincent recently, and he was looking at the possibility of using that sort of display area and sending messages to that display area from the game. And so I'm wondering if by default it works on clients. But because Vincent's been looking around with that, he's like disabled it or something. Because just because it works by default doesn't mean you couldn't disable it server side. And maybe it's broken on this specific version of Uchi. Because do you know what Encre uses to speedrun?
I think Encre uses also Uchu, but he said he was on. He was on OP Crux when he did the foot race. So
okay.
Yeah. Also,
can't believe he's got you calling it OP Crux.
I kind of forgot the name of it. I was gonna say Crux Prime, but then I was like, no, that's the map, not. But yeah. Also, the speedrun seems to work now, or their foot race, when I switched characters, but I'm not sure yet. It worked at least once. Now it's like the second time, and it also accepted it. But last time it was also I got 2 times, and after that it didn't anymore work.
If it is something to do with the record you're achieving, just depends which was faster than which. When Hugo First of the Venture League in Gnarled Forest tells you that to be careful with the timings of your jumps, that is just advice he just hears. That's me all the time. That is just speed running.
I go to Gnarled Forest. I don't even jump once. I just slide. Just for whole map. Okay, it happened again. The message now on the third try that I didn't make it in time.
Does it let you keep running?
No, the timer on the top middle disappeared. It seemed to go to 1, but I wasn't looking, so I'm gonna check that too. So
does it let you restart the race though? Because I mean, I suppose that's what I'm most interested in.
I'm thinking, could it be that maybe after you have run the race once, it like some of the checkpoints don't give you any more time, anymore. So you just have too little time to actually be able to go. I can't explain it, but I feel like that's what just happened. So I'm looking at my time because it is stuck, but when I got the message that I didn't have time, it did turn into 0. So I'm thinking if there's something here. Yeah, it is in 30 and then it just automatically changes to 0 and stays in 0 for like 2-3 seconds before it shows that you didn't get it in time. So I don't have a clue why that's. Because if it does happen twice, or you can do it twice without anything, after that it doesn't anymore work. So I think it's maybe something that it doesn't reset something after you finish the run. Maybe. And then when you try it again, it still thinks about the same at the first run in something about the first try out still.
Yeah, I don't know enough about the mechanics to be any use on that, I'm afraid.
Yeah. I'm actually gonna try the touch the ground as little as possible too now. Watching you do it looked pretty interesting. So
just okay. Can you see my standing still on stream at the moment? Can you see?
You are still looking a bit more left. Okay, now you are still, I think.
But, yeah. Okay. So the challenge is so you have to jump to this spot from a previous hill or from a previous rock, and I'm wondering. Technically, I'm not wondering. I know it's possible. Technically, it's possible to hit this ledge and to get slip speed. And I just okay. Well, no one saw that. And I'm just. Technically, it's possible to get slip speed from that ledge. So that would just be the hardest thing ever. But it's something I really want to see people do. Oh, actually, something really interesting you could abuse with this is respawns. And if you could try, because according to Winston, where the client wants you to respawn, although I think you can override it on the server, where the client wants you to respawn is set entirely client side. And I don't know how it works by default. Actually, smash yourself cleverly to get to places you want to go. I don't know if you've ever, if back when I think it was the guy called Summoning Salt started releasing speedrunning videos about Mario, one of the glitches. I didn't think that would happen. One of the glitches he mentioned on his videos is when you muck with the warp pipes, and muck with which warp pipe sends you where. And I'm thinking you could probably do a similar thing to that in LEGO Universe, but with deaths.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like something. It sounds like something that would happen on an old game as a glitch. That when you die, you teleport to future checkpoint, like which is on forward. Yeah. So.
Wait a second. Wait a second. I wonder where you respawn if you die on the monument.
I think it's.
Sure.
Oh yeah, I know. It's just at the beginning. At the.
Wonder.
Because
I wonder where the cutoffs are.
that I don't know.
Because to be some respawn point past the monument, and I mean technically, all you need to do is somewhere. I wonder if there's actually any place. Technically, this wouldn't be doable in any speedrun mode, on any server, so it wouldn't count as part of the speedrun. But you technically can, like on certain servers like NinjaOfLU, etc., you'd be able to, if you get yourself into the right position and smash yourself, you could probably get yourself some extra, well, maybe get yourself some extra time, depending on where the cut-off regions are and how long it takes to smash and rebuild. The only issue is, yes, smash and rebuilding is server side. Throw move, it's possible to jump off of enemies.
Oh yeah, that reminds me that I was gonna say at some point that I got a very nice idea for a mod for Uchu, which would me that I think it's possible with Uchu coding with that when you jump on top of an enemy, they would like get killed, basically like Mario rules. Because I don't know, it sounded hilarious to me, and I was thinking, would that be possible? Uchu to basically the server knowing when you are on top of an enemy and like destroy it, or would that be something like blocking that from happening?
That would be pretty difficult, because like you'd sort of think about coding that is, you'd want some sort of physics thing, you'd want to check on collision. The only issue is collisions are one of the parts, like that would be a part of physics that's handled server side, and so you'd have to have an entire physics engine server side, which Uchu doesn't have. Now, that's not the only way you could do it. You could check, you could in a slightly more hacky way, check whether or not the player is in a certain region above an enemy. And then you could write a mod that does that. If a player is in a certain region above an enemy, smash them. That would actually be quite an easy mod to write.
Yeah, the way I was thinking of it was that it would do something like whenever the player jumps, it would then check if there is like an enemy under the player then. Like, but I don't know if that's possible to do.
Running a script on jump would be harder than just constantly running it. And also it would be less Mario accurate, because on Mario, if you're falling, you can smash them even if you haven't jumped. So I think just going for, it's definitely doable as a mod. That'd be relatively, dare I say, simple, I think. Some program, I might do that at some point, if you remind me, and because I don't know, it's quite, unlike most of the things I try and program, which are games, etc. in there, it's just a single standalone feature that you could just turn on and off. That would definitely be doable.
Okay, because I was thinking like of small things that you could basically add to Uchi that could like change the experience to a lot different one. And one other thing that I was thinking of was that would it be possible to like make the game first person? Because I know it's possible if you like are towards a wall, really close to it, you can.
And you're thinking, what if you could? Yeah. Camera position is client side. I don't know if there's a good. No. Sorry, that's a lie. Before someone corrects me on it, that is a lie. But like, I'm pretty certain you want to access the precise angle a player's camera is at. I don't think there's a way of doing that from the server. However, or not without some pretty intense server modding. However, that doesn't mean it's impossible. I'm trying to work out where I'm actually trying to get to in the Old Forest right now for this challenge. That doesn't mean it's impossible, because what you could do, well, there are different camera modes in LEGO Universe by default. So whilst you couldn't just, like, I don't know, maybe you could just make an invisible box around the player, which forces the camera into first person, but that would be buggy and glitchy and would look awful. It could be possible, but it wouldn't be. I don't know precisely how OU's camera works when interacting with invisible objects, but it might be doable. But an easier way of doing that, or something with it, there are different camera modes you can access in LU, and I wonder if you could just use one of those. It's like a free cam mode I know devs experiment with a regular basis. So I don't know if there'd be a first-person camera like that you could mess with.
Okay, because
would be how I think of doing it.
Because I was just thinking about basically the way I think about mods currently is I want to think of ways to basically make basically for like your videos you have the background video basically most of the time just being avant-garde, and like I'm pretty sure some people are like pretty done with just looking basically at the same stuff. So maybe just a slight change, like you can kill enemies by jumping on them, or it's from first person, could like make it again like a new experience.
Honestly, I should just go different places. Like, I could just go to an Old Forest, and that would. I know what you mean. I know what you mean,
Yeah.
definitely. I'm thinking it probably would be easier to just go other places than to write a mod for the background of episodes. But that doesn't mean it's not it wouldn't be interesting to take a look at writing some mods and reviewing episodes on it, because I do still want to do an episode explaining modding and writing a simple mod, because I've now written that episode. I've now done that episode at least 2 or 3 times. Last time it was going brilliantly, then my girlfriend and I broke up halfway through it. That was so I've got on my computer just like a load of files that's just okay. I need to. I've just gotten a message, and then just the things get shorter and shorter as because she was an orchestra whilst we were having a conversation, and they just get slightly shorter and shorter times between each episode, and it gets worse and worse until the episode just ends utterly. It seems my scripting with Uchi thing is destined never to work out. I've got like 4 folders for all my different attempts at writing that video or doing that video.
Okay, so that actually a bit back you said you should just like go to other worlds. Is there a reason why you have basically just stayed in avant-garde? Is it just like that avant-garde is the like most working, or is there something?
It's because like the majority of stuff we can do is still terrain based, and the monument is the most interesting piece of terrain I can think of. So you would have like Forbidden Valley. Forbidden Valley, that's got some very interesting terrain. The only issue is that in order to do anything with Forbidden Valley, you need, in order to get anywhere without just flying everywhere, you need to have phantom physics implemented, which YouTube doesn't have. LCDR does have that, but on LCDR, I can't get to Forbidden Valley. So it's a bit of a catch-22. Basically, I end up being unable to do it.
Okay.
Why I have not. That's the reason why I primarily use that one thing. Okay, I'm going to.
So
I think I need to recompile it.
Yeah, you said about the what was it? Yeah, about the monument like terrain being really interesting. I like, but I actually have to kind of disagree with that. I feel like the monument is does have some terrain, but like currently I have been doing different styles of like slopes in the what's the Nimbus Station middle part, and it does look a bit more interesting, I think, than in Monument, looking at just the same thing. Which
yeah, I know what you mean. I don't know. I just
Yeah.
think I like it because it's got that aspect of I have to think about like height, and I don't really have to think about height for like, or not in the same way. Like you can't ever get. There are no sort of overhangs in Nimbus Station other than okay, technically like the vendor booths and some of the trees. Like you can't really do interesting things with those necessarily. I know what you mean. Yeah, it's. Not necessarily as easy to speedrun assembly every time, Daniel Cunningham. It's not even a question for like a second. It's assembly. How about you, Vicey? Favorite faction?
This is actually a hard guess, and I'm not sure.
And the correct answer is assembly.
The thing is, I never had when the game was like game was live. I never had an assembly. And I don't know if assembly is kind of my style, the abilities.
No, that's a very good point. Like,
Yeah.
when I say assembly, I just always say it because, like,
Yeah, they look cool.
That's just sort of who I am as a physicist. It's definitely not the best faction if you want to go like DPS or something. I definitely agree with you there.
Yeah, like that was the thing. Like as a kid, I liked really much like assembly as like the idea as I think it was cool, and I think it's pretty cool idea for the faction that like they pull something instead of like fighting themselves. But yeah, the gameplay wasn't then and wasn't not now like the type. If I would have to think, like I think I would be the guy now who would pick Venture League just because.
Sure. Ooh, interesting.
They
Daniel was judging you strongly from his Paradox fandom.
Actually,
not that he wasn't judging me, I'm sure.
As a kid, I also liked Paradox, but I stopped liking them when I got stuck at the Paradox Nexus tower base because there were teleporters and I didn't know how they work, so I got stuck with my character and I pretty much just reset the minifig. So, and I still have to remember, don't pick Paradox, they look cool, but don't do it, you will get stuck again.
You need to go to some Paradox series for other faction missions. I don't remember, maybe you don't.
Well, you don't have to go to them if you can't understand the missions and you just run around. Okay, which was what I did.
Fair enough. I just think, because you definitely need to do at least one mission for Vander. But yeah, if you're just running around, fair enough.
Yeah.
So it's good when my character's sending out a ton of warnings to the main server. For those of you wondering why I'm just standing here, I'm currently trying to load in Forbidden Valley, and it's I can't tell whether or not I've broken into at this stage. It's just I sort of assume I've broken it most of the time, even when I haven't. Fair bet. One thing that I am actually quite interested is because recently I've started looking a little bit at the Super Mario Maker 2 community. I've sort of been getting into that. I know some people have seen me on discussing the Beast on the LCDRU Discord. And one thing that I quite like is they've got this entire sort of part of like Super Mario Maker and presumably just Mario levels in general because they do ROM hacks and everything. That's sort of this idea of a Kaizo level. What I really want are like Happy Flower Kaizo. I want people to, because at some point I hope we're going to get that. the point where people are making just like really challenging speedrun levels in Happy Flower. I think that would be so cool.
Yeah, that's actually still one of the projects that I have to start, is the get Happy Flower working, but I've been having a bit problems with it. But when I do get it up, I will make one. The original plan was to like basically copy paste the avant-garden's jumps a lot, and then look how they would do if they were like in a combo. And after I like understand how different jumps work with each other, I could basically make like a parkour, like a B-hop style parkour map, where you have to slide. But yeah, I can't really tell that if I don't have Happy Flower working yet.
Another thing with errors. Another thing that sort of is I promise you, I'm just saying, I promise you we are loading into Forbidden Valley, it's just taking ages. You know, the other, like, I don't know what Happy Flower actually does. So here's the thing. The terrain you see around you, as well as you know more than most people, the amount of time you spent on the monuments, the terrain is not the same as the physics file. And so I don't know how easy it would be to design a physics file. Or because to design terrain, given that the physics file won't be precisely the same as the terrain. Then yeah, I don't know how that's going to work. Hello! We seem to be moving to Forbidden Valley, finally! Woo! Daniel Cunningham, fan of the Paradox faction. You all like this, because you know it's Forbidden Valley.
Oh yeah, what was
Paradox be a thing?
What was your favorite map when the game was live, or even now?
I'll extend that to chat as well. I mean,
yeah.
By chat, I think there are it's pretty much just Daniel, I think. Because you're one of the people watching me. I think I'm technically one of the people watching me. Because I've got it open so I can see chat. So I think it may just be
actually
Daniel.
One thing is that I'm not sure if it's same on YouTube, but on Twitch is that if you are watching a stream with zero audio, then it doesn't count as a viewer, at least on Twitch. Which would mean like if someone's watching without audio, YouTube doesn't count then as watching you, basically. So it might be that there might be like 27 people actually watching, but they also have muted.
If they're watching and have it muted, they are bored out their skulls, right? I mean, probably if you're watching and it isn't muted, you're bored out your skulls. But Ian, a good way of getting past this without.
Yeah, but anyway, back to the guest. What's your favorite map now, or when the game was live? All about.
Game was live. Not Forbidden Valley, Crux Prime. Definitely Crux Prime, because I didn't realise Crux Prime existed for ages. No idea it existed. Like leveled up my character relatively decently, just using like Forbidden Valley, etc. Then I found out Crux Prime existed, and I got so much free experience from Crux Prime, because everywhere you go in Crux Prime, you get an achievement. And I like leveled up like 2 or 3 levels in like a few minutes just by walking around Crux Prime. And also that was where I spent all my time. It's a cliched answer, I know, but it's true. Yeah, Crux Prime, probably favourite place. Now, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know, maybe I can't really judge because like I've spent so much time in Avant Gardens. Is that really my favourite, or is it just that Avant Gardens is I spent the most time there. I feel that I quite like Forbidden Valley because they make so much use out of the phantom physics. That I really like. I don't know. I like the parts which have. Oh god, that if you could try and make that jump in the proper challenge in life, that'd be so hard. Yeah, I feel like I like the maps that have like the more interesting, they have something different to them. So like Frostburg, I like Frostburg because that has falling snow, etc. And yeah, that makes it good fun. And ice physics as well. Ice physics is good. Big fan of the Ninjago areas actually. At them because they've got lots of different stuff thrown in there because they were quite late in the game and so they had all the tools they needed. Yeah, how about you?
When the game was live, I think it would have been Forbidden Valley, but I got to play it as well only like 1 month at the end because mostly I was playing on free. But yeah, I think it's just I like the feeling of Forbidden Valley. It feels a lot more dark and like I can't explain, but like it has a different feeling. For example, the Avant Gardens, but I did be on Avant Gardens a lot, and like now I think it kind of has to be Avant Gardens because
you're not Avant Gardens. You are the Monuments. The Monument is your favourite world. Whether you like it or not, it is your world now.
Yeah, but still I like Forbidden Valley, but yeah, it's now behind the Monumental Avant Gardens. Basically same, but they kind of switched places. I also spent time on the Ninjago world, but when you can't proceed on any of the missions, it kind of gets boring. Kind of seeing everyone else having out golden weapons and stuff, and tell with my basic spear. So.
Is that another case of like you didn't realise that Ninjago weapons were a thing, or you couldn't work out how to get them?
I didn't have money for them. Like, I remember grinding for the Skytse on the Avant Gardens like week, because I always like killed one strongling, died, killed 2 stronglings, died again. So I gained like almost no money. And when I got the Skythe, I was expecting it to be like really OP because of the time I spent to get it.
Yeah. And
then it was just like a little bit better than the spear, so I still remember kind of the disappointment, but yeah, that was I didn't have money for anything, so that also kind of ruined the possibility of enjoying PvP.
Most disappointing thing ever, Wing Reaper. God, that was the worst Valiant I have ever had the misfortune to play. Love the Summoner as a class. But we got the worst Valiant in the entire game. Even those classes that had unimplemented Valiants, even those classes had better Valiants than we did.
So yeah. I can't remember what did the Valiant weapon do there.
So the Valiant weapons were the 250,000 coins, 250 faction tokens.
Oh. Okay, so what did the Valiant weapon do that you were talking about? Because I don't know.
So the Wing Reaper, so they're the 2-handed weapons. So the Wing Reaper, what that did was it basically it had all the Valiant weapons had either a 333 or a 334 attack. Maybe that's wrong. Maybe it was just 233, but I don't think so. I think the rank 3 weapons had a 233 attack. I think Valiants were 333 or 334. I want to say 334. Anyway, that aside, so all the Valiant weapons had that as standard, other than the Wormholer, which had a single attack of 5. Maybe one of the Bench League weapons, because I don't know, one of the Venture weapons was the only weapon, non-Valiant weapons was the only weapon in the game that had 4 successive attacks. But anyway, yeah, the Wing Reaper, it lets you spawn in its charge up. I don't remember what its charge up was. I think its charge up was just you attack things around you. And its ability was you spawn in 3 owls to help you fight. I like owls as much as the next guy. They don't help you fight. Certainly not 3 of them. 3 of them with 3 health each, so that pretty much instantly they just get killed off by whatever it is you're attacking. They are the least useful thing ever in that regard.
That really makes...
Yeah,
That sounds like they could have made it a lot better. Like, I still have the same feeling. Like, the first idea I got was instead of like 3 of them, it could have been like that just comes a storm of them and they basically just one-shot the enemy, but it's like 1 use and something like that. And that would have been...
So
yeah.
I suppose you could have like... You could probably... I wonder if you could just up the number and just make it like 10 of them appear. Because 10 of them will be reasonably powerful. A single enemy with an area of effect attack could take them all out.
Yeah.
But if they were working against an enemy that didn't have an AoE, they'd be pretty powerful. I think that would be a decent idea.
Because I was thinking, I don't know what's the name of the item, but I remember when we were having the PvP, Yumi and Vincent. Vincent had the phone, I think. Or the telephone thing that calls the piano.
No, that was me. Yeah. That was me and my piano. I love the piano. I'm a mystery.
Yeah, but basically, if that could just be reskinned as like a bunch of owls, it would basically do the job. What I mean. Just like a storm of owls just going down, yeah. And
I love that mental image. But yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just felt... I remember grinding for it for ages. Meanwhile, the Serratorizer, which was the Engineer's Valiant, that was brilliant. That had... you could one-shot a Spiderling with its charge up. You're talking a couple of imagination to use, right? But you can just get as many Spiderlings as you can tank the damage from. Then release the charge up, it does an area of effect spin, which kills all of them in 1 hit. And so you easily make back any armor, any imagination you've lost. So it's perfectly sustainable. And yeah, it's a very, very decent weapon. And I was just sitting, like, okay, I never really wanted to use its other ability, which was just you spawn a quick build, because for engineers, I'm sure it would have been fine, but I was a summoner, primarily as my main, and so I wasn't really used to having anything that I placed down, to having to build it, because I was just like, well, I can just spawn my flock, I don't have to build my flock. Ooh! You can go here? I did not know this! That is very cool.
Looking at your stream. Whoa.
Yeah, I didn't know you could do that. I'm going to fall off in a second. I don't think it will let me get back up, but I didn't realise this was actually a standable spot. I'm just bouncing off of the things on the way back down. Yeah. So I never really used its other attack, but just that charge up made it so much more worthwhile than anything else. I did like the Summoner rank 3 shoulder pads ability compared to the Engineer rank 3 shoulder pads. Both did exactly the same amount of damage. They did it in slightly different intervals, but the Summoner's one did it in all directions, whereas the other one did it in only 80 degrees. I just managed to fall off of Forbidden Valley and then unfall off of Forbidden Valley, which was quite cool.
You also got a new comment on stream.
No, that's what I'm saying, sir.
Oh.
It's funky. Yeah. Yeah, what have we been doing? I've been continually exploring worlds. Honestly, I feel like in terms of in looking on the sort of jump challenge, the jump challenge is a lot harder to do on other worlds than it was in the Back Gardens. I don't know if all these other worlds are just bigger or they've got more stuff. Forbidden Valley, the best thing you have are the candles. Those are genuinely your biggest advantage because the candles are everywhere, which is the reason why Forbidden Valley takes so long to load in. And they work, because they're everywhere, they're not part of the ground. They're reasonably difficult to land on, and so they do make quite an interesting challenge. I want to try, though, seeing how much of the tree is actually climbable now, after I found that other climbable bit. That actually looks like quite an interesting question, because maybe if we allow parts of the tree, but not parts of rock, the Forbidden Valley challenge could actually be really interesting. I mean, I suppose it's sort of a moot point, because Forbidden Valley isn't doable on all servers, so I don't know why I'm looking at it, but it's interesting. Yeah, so I suppose the next just server line. Yeah, okay, so I suppose the next challenge would be, or the question would be, where do we go next? Or what do we actually define as this challenge? Because honestly, gnarled forest and sorry, when I say questions like this is open to everyone, like comments. I'm not just saying to the bicycle. But so the thing is, Avant Gardens, that's really interesting in my opinion and quite good fun to try and get around without jumping, without touching the ground. Venture Explorer, that's good fun as well. That requires a decent amount of precision. Then I don't know, Gnarled Forest and Forbidden Valley just don't seem to have. They've got far more open. I don't like you, Funky. Sorry, to clarify to everyone, when I say Funky, I'm referring to Mr. Reed. Yeah. No, we're not doing Portobello. I don't care how good Portobello is, because generally Portobello, I'm just thinking from the mental image I have, it might actually be reasonable if I don't touch the ground, because I think there are lots of models lying around. But still, no matter how good it is, the easiest way to have everyone like, oh yeah, it's not a real speedrun. Have people do it on Portobello. You know, yeah. So that's the thing. Like, Forbidden Valley doesn't feel that interesting because, like, I'm jumping on these rocks. Do these rocks count as terrain? Honestly, it doesn't really matter because they're not. There's no real challenge to jumping on them. There are challenges to jumping on like areas where there are candles, etc. That's yeah, I don't. You could potentially just do just the minimum amount of time to on a complete server smash minimum amount of time spent on the ground in a run which either A, smashes butterscotch if you're on a complete server, which obviously you can't do for now, and or B, minimum amount of time to reach butterscotch. Point being that you wouldn't necessarily have to go like through Gnarled Forest and Forbidden Valley to do those. I don't know. It's a question of. I feel like there's so much room for optimization in that, though. And I feel like that would be a really, really interesting challenge. But the question is, how do you balance it to keep it feel like there's a huge amount of challenge into doing it in Forbidden Valley? But it's very much up to people's opinion. I'd put it to a vote or something. That was interesting loading animation you just had on there, Ice-Ski.
Oh.
It's used out of existence.
I didn't know this, so I think I've got used to it now.
It is. There are always some some dubious loading animations from Uchu.
Yeah, I'm gonna actually try to do the same glitch that happened to me yesterday when I was trying the NinjaOfLU thing.
Ooh, that's a good point. Yeah, you do need to go through Nexus Tower to get to Crux Prime. There's no other way. No, you technically. I think you may be able to get there via Lego Club. Remember for a fact, but maybe you could get there via Lego Club, which would mean your routes would. You'd still have to go Nimba Station, but you'd do Lego Club instead of Nexus Tower. I don't know if that's any better. I don't know. I don't know anything, honestly. I don't know why I've been doing this channel. Because I know very little, but someone who runs a channel is meant to be informational. I think I'm gonna world 100, which I think may be Crux.
Wait, do the toilets work in? The toilets seem to work in Avant Gardens. They didn't shoot me, but they shot the
Starbase. Turrets. So I think turrets should be working at the moment because I know Epsilon has been able to hasn't been attacking the player and has been attacking Stromlings as of the version I'm playing in, and turrets working should it's exactly the same mechanic as Epsilon working.
Okay.
So, yeah.
It has been.
Depends if they have railings. That's a good point.
Yeah, because
Nexus Tower doesn't. Okay. It's a very good point. Lego Club might. Yeah, sorry, Vaisky.
Yeah, I was just wait, now I forgot what I was gonna say. Yeah, it was just the first time there was a Stromling close enough to tell that it attacked it. So I hadn't seen it never. So I was just thinking if it has just been added or has it been a while. Yeah.
I'm pretty certain, yeah, as Falcon says, I'm pretty certain that faction calculations are now part that Winston has implemented those. Which I'm not too surprised about, like, they're not... I don't want to say they're not the hardest to implement, because obviously I've never implemented them, but I know they're, like, on their internet list, etc. So, relative to other things, they are achievable. So I'm not too surprised Winston has them. Okay, the question is, what is the zone ID for the Lego Club? Because I can check that out now. That's a very, very good point. Okay, and yes, I am still going to uniserver.com when I need to get my world IDs. I know. I am a disgusting human being who should be killed. Should be smashed with the wormholer. Lego Club 17. Close down servers I'm not using. In world 20,001. We've got ourselves Lego Club loading in. Let's see that, because Lego Club I can see Lego Club having a decent number of railings. Oh, Lego Club also has the zero gravity area. That'll be brilliant. Issue is you wouldn't be able to do the zero gravity in live or until a complete server. But if you did have a complete server, okay, where's this one from? The gateway to travel to the Lego Club. I'm already in the Lego Club. Yeah, I don't know if Lego Club can get you to Crux Prime. I don't get you to lots of places. Although I'm only seeing 3 things here, so that doesn't look too promising. Maybe it can't get you to Crux Prime. That's a shame it can't. Does this jump pad get you? This. It gets you to miss the backpack flag. basically you could get down those railings fairly easily. You could probably double jump from if you've got some slide speed off of those railings. You could double jump over to this. You climb up here, being sloppy, but you can climb up these because I've done it quite a few times on this stream already. Let's. I promise I'm a competent human being. There we are. You can definitely get slide speed off of these enough to get to the rails. Or here. Let's speed off of this. Very much a moot point if you can't actually make it to. Jump. Shortest place you can go to. Yeah, it's a moot point if you can't actually get to Crook's Prime from here. Okay, yeah, in that case that makes sense, Funky. Yeah. Yeah, it's not it. Basically, yeah, it's not looking good. Okay, so I mean, it makes a very nice way to get to Gnarled Forest, and one alternative version to the 100% speedrun, or it's not 100% speedrun, it's like the any percent speedrun, where you just have to like get to Butterscorch, etc., would be a version where you had to get to all the named enemies. And so maybe you could use Lego Club as a hub for that. I feel Lego Club you might be able to traverse in less time than or a little bit less time spent on the grounds than Nimber Station, maybe. But it very much depends on our definition of ground. I feel that's something we'll have to work on, like as a community, etc. What actually counts as the ground in these things. There'll be like different people disagreeing on what counts as grounds. Is there another question if we're going to actually do this in reality? If you were to actually do this in reality in a more complete server, is getting the items, etc. I keep saying more complete server, but we could have this doable in Uchu. We could just run this in Uchu because Butterscorch, at least one of her attacks works. And so you could actually do like obtaining the weapons. I know most of her attacks don't work, but at some point, maybe one day they will. And that's a lot closer in the future. That's having a complete game. Have I done any testing with the Witch's Surf Broom? I have, and there was no good news. It appears to be a slightly different attack, but I'm pretty certain it just implements the same charge mechanism as everything else. So we don't have any extra luck there. Ooh, here's a good question. Does out of bounds ground count as ground? I mean, the answer should be yes, but much less of a challenge if it didn't. But yeah, I haven't had. Yeah, there's been no hugely interesting testing with Witch's Surf Broom. You can then only get to from Nexus Tower. So let's go to Nexus Tower next. I'll go to Crook's Prime. Since seems wrong. Is it not an even longer charge? I don't think so, but it doesn't make that much difference as to whether or not it's a longer charge because the charge is full. You don't fly whilst you're charging, and you can't jump whilst you're charging. It doesn't make a huge amount of difference how long the charge actually is, unless you've got significant height. Significant height in this speedrun is equivalent to just climbing the monument, and once you've climbed the monument, you can pretty much make a running jump anyway. The second you finish using the item, you stop. It's sort of, your momentum gets cancelled. It's sort of similar to the double jump attack. I can see definitely there being scenarios where it would come useful, and where you could probably perform some clever stuff. Like if we start getting really difficult levels, that would be. I could definitely see you putting it to use in that, but I don't know we could get it outside of those. I can't come up with a good use case there. I know charge ups work in sort of groups. I wonder if there's where like you can't, so to try and avoid people stacking things, they made it so that every item you can use is part of a certain recharge group, and you can't use other items from the same recharge group whilst one thing is recharging. So I'm wondering. Oh, so it's loading. Yeah, well, we are still loading. That's always good. Maybe some things that were put in incorrect recharge groups. That would be plausible as something that could have happened in development, other than the fact that it's quite difficult. That the way they implemented new enemies or new items, new attacks, they mostly just copied over from old things. So I'd assume if it was configured for one thing, it would with them. So you'd be unlikely to find something that was put in the incorrect category. So yeah, I honestly think in terms of, I'm pretty certain there's nothing that can increase your jump height. Unless maybe maybe you could get lucky and maybe something, some of the spawnable stuff, maybe you could stand on that. Some of the spawnable stuff you could stand on. Maybe. I'm assuming Willis doesn't have buying items. You could definitely do a pretty interesting no touching the ground challenge on Uchu. That would actually be reasonably effective. Like people to, at the very least, collect a certain set of items for attacking the Spider Queen. Not the Spider Queen. It is not the Spider Queen. No, not the boss of Crux Prime. The engineer buildable turret. I don't know. That was what I was just wondering. If I can find the ID, I can double check that. The answer to that. So give me a second. Info objects. So I still haven't downloaded SQLite DB browser onto this computer. Okay, what do I want to find? I want to find. Actually, if you can stand on anything like that, I'm almost 100% certain you could walk through your Volper and your Thwok. But I wonder if you could. I wonder if there's anything that changes your physical hitbox, or if things are just spawned around you. I'm assuming nothing changes your hitbox. Anyway, engineer. I don't remember which engineer item it was that. Let's just see. Give. I just earned a weapon. Just let me do. Deploy turret. I don't have enough imagination. Imagination to build it. But I gotta get the imagination before it despawns. Build that bodes well. It did not end well. Okay, so no, you can't on those. I'm quite enjoying the sniping through rocks action. I really hope they're actually... Oh, it's not hitting her, that's a shame. 3 turret might be too... Are you just saying too big to get onto the top, Herb? I mean, I can walk through it. Oh, it's not plausible. I suppose technically the horse mount, although that wasn't obtainable in the game. This is the first time I haven't done something I know of to crash the game. Ethernet cable's still connected. That is the most important thing I have to check. Back in, fine. Just crash the Crux Prime server. Am I disconnected? I don't think I did. Okay, well, that's a relocking of Uchu, then I believe. I've gotten significantly today. Server lost, indeed. I think the stream's coming to an end in about 15 minutes. So, with us. Did you know that actually Vitic and I cease to exist when you stop watching our streams? I don't exist outside of when I'm recording a video or streaming. Yeah. Actually does, but he only exists to play the monuments. He can't exist any other time or place. Yeah, which is why when his server crashes, it's always a little concerning. Because he just disappears from existence. His family don't know where he's gone.
I was gonna say that I'm not actually sure if I need to end the stream yet, so if you don't have anything, we can continue.
I'm going to have to, sorry.
Okay, 10, sure.
I need to, because I've got jobs I need to do. I don't have a job, but I do have jobs to do. It's sad and annoying. But Crux Prime. Ooh. God. EOFF. Pronounced Jeff? Or like, that's how we pronounce it, or Joff. That's the same phoneme as gives us George. I'm just watching the Uchu just scroll through everything it's loading.
Oh.
The skeleton growl speakers. There's the death plane, which is all you gotta love the death plane. Generators. Lots of flowers. Frozen Crux Prime rock. Oh, that's the thing that. Yeah, okay. I wasn't certain, fucking thanks. Yeah, that's something I'm uncertain about. Is canonically something going on with time in Crux Prime? Because you do have things which should be moving, which appear to be standing still in time. And yet you do, and yet you also have things that aren't. Like, I would be willing to believe that technically the Dark Architect does have enough ability to, does have enough power to mess with time, because still, canonically, he has lots of power. But there definitely are things that appear to not be moving. The thing that makes me think about that is I was just watching all the objects that were being loaded, and one of them was a frozen rocket, and I'm pretty certain there is something frozen in time like that. Hey. Ooh! Oh, the one thing that I meant to test and I haven't tested yet is the thing that I mentioned right at the beginning of the stream, which is so GoldenEye runs off an earlier version of the LU physics engine, and it has quite an active speedrunning community. One of the members of the speedrunning community have noticed that you can do what I think I can't remember what they call it. It's, I don't remember the name of it, but it's some sort of like smash jump where if you run it, because you don't have jumping in the game, and if you run at something fast enough, you can actually, you hit it, it sort of pushes you up on top of the thing, and they can use that for bugs. Could it be a gravity thing? I don't know. This is the bit that I'm thinking about as seeming a little strange. This thingy, I don't. Well, so yeah, all these floating bits I'd be perfectly happy with, but whatever's going on here looks like it's ongoing. That's definitely an explosion. Everything is, but nothing's actually. I suppose those things are moving out of it. More rotating around, etc. It could just be a second force going on. Maybe the imagination is trying to put it back together whilst an explosion is trying to push it apart. That would work. That would mean we're not mucking with time, which would be. This is the frozen rocket object. So, how to get to Butterscorch? Let's do this. And see if we can come up with a plausible route. So, yeah, I think genuinely your best bet for making it to Butterscorch on something like Uchu is enemy hopping. Because the thing is, like Admirals, they give you a pretty... As long as you have enough health, the Admirals do give you a really good kick when they hit you. I bet you could use stuff like that to actually get reasonable amounts of speed. Jump off enemies' heads to prevent you touching the ground for a lot of the time. You jumped on a Stromling Admiral's head to sort of set it off, then jumped into the... oh, what the...
Okay. You have to you have to tune your Stallion Lab settings.
Evidently.
He.
Goodbye, Funky.
I saw your chat. He wasn't spamming. He just like sent.
He just was the only person who'd spoken for quite a while.
And he placed like a 4 or 5 sentence message, which I think Stallion Labs thought was spam. So.
I really need to tune that. His last message was, I always just presumed that the Maelstrom messed up gravity in some unexplained way across the whole of LU. Crux is just stronger in Maelstrom, but also more fractured. Yeah, I mean, that definitely works for all of this, and like canonically, that is perfectly correct. I was just wondering about these exploding spaceships, but hacking them, then it's going to be some sort of they must be imagination vessels, and if they're imagination vessels, you would build, as an engineer, you would build imagination to try and in such ways to hold your ships together, because like that gives you a little margin for error. So if you came this way around, you have a reasonable number of these. You can do things like get speed off of this one, or get slope speed off of this one. But maybe there's a better coming around here, because I feel like trying to get speed off of the enemies, that would be pretty difficult. One of the things we also need to work out at some point as a community is how we verify speedruns. Because so far, I know everyone who's posted a speed run. I can sort of be fairly certain none of them would cheat. I can look over the videos and I can see things like that. But we don't have any way of sort of recording the inputs people make. A state at any point in time. So it's quite hard to verify.
There actually is a plugin for OBS that shows what keys you press. But on the server side, that wouldn't be like working until we could maybe get like a public server or something where everyone could speedrun. And
we could definitely write a new script that records that somehow. That would be plausible.
Yeah.
Necessarily easy. Really plausible jump for Quicksilver. It's obtainable. So this method isn't plausible. Stop floating and sniping me. It's not fair. I can't fly. I'm slightly surprised Streamlabs treats consecutive messages.
Well, I think you have to think about it in the case like if someone spams like 200 200 character messages a lot, it deletes all of them and not just one. And I think it also like mutes the person for like 30 to 60 seconds.
And or in this instance, we just muted him for 1 second. I didn't actually know this place existed. That's interesting. Okay, our bounce place. I know like the other side over there existed. Where does this bouncer take you? Why? Oh, okay. So I've only ever been across the other side of what is it? Oh, I'm trying to remember the name of the place. It's the place where there was the whole Maelstrom Temple. Not Maelstrom Temple, the Mithran. The remains of the original Mithran Temple might be on the other side of this chasm. So I've only ever been on the other side of this chasm on stuff like the uni. There are objects here. There are enemies spawning here, and there are bouncers. Existed.
Oh, you just got a sub on your
Oh.
channel.
I was trying to work out what that noise was. I thought that was your phone again. I was very confused.
Yeah, that's the alert box that you seem to have.
Yeah, I did. I did put that up. Did it pop up somewhere on the stream? I don't know if it.
Just a tip: if you want a better one, you should do it so that it shows in the background. For example, the hello everybody thing or something like that, which might be interesting.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I don't know. There's meant to be some sort of system of loyalty points on here. I don't know if those are given out automatically over time, but you can spend, I think, 10 of them it is, to hear me say hello everyone several times.
Let's see. There should be a command from Streamlabs.
It is.
I haven't used Streamlabs in a long time, but
it would be !redeem hello everyone, which is all one word, capital on the H and capital on the E.
Yeah, I'm trying to search Z if there should be always like a way to see how many points you do have. Yeah, there you go. Oh, I have one point. Okay, let's see.
See if I can manually up your points. Let's see.
Yes,
I'll quickly do that.
The Streamlabs the loyalty system is not the best, but if it works, it's good.
Yeah, let's say that. But yeah, I genuinely didn't realize this place existed and had stuff here. I've seen people spawn in the temple separately, and like it looks pretty much like this from memory. I didn't know this place actually had stuff in it during live. You can't tell I'm really surprised. You can't tell by the fact that my voice increases significantly in pitch. Oh, should be.
Wait.
Yeah, okay.
What? Why does? Oh, okay. It seems like Funky has more points than I do. Okay.
It should be spelled like this. I believe. Maybe there should be an exclamation mark. I don't know if I have enough points.
Did you set like a cooldown for this command?
There is a global. Oh yeah, I didn't spell it right, did I? There's a global cooldown. There's no global cooldown.
Okay. No, we.
Like.
Yeah.
I can't hear this. Is that audible?
It looks like Funky bought one, so.
Audible on the video.
Do you hear anything yet?
I can't hear anything. I promise I will reimburse you, Funky. I've now turned audio on the video actually on. It did it, I think. Oh yay!
Yeah.
I didn't. It should come up with a message somewhere as well. I don't know. I've got to look at setting all this stuff up at some point properly. So it was
because
relatively rushed because I'm incompetent.
It kind of feels that your loyalty system is kind of broken, as like the normal best that people use it like is 10 points for 10 minutes. Just let you know.
Let's hear it. Yeah, I don't. You should be able to hear it, and a message should come up. I'll look and see what's going on. Yeah, I'll need to work that out at some point. I promise to reimburse you for those points. Okay. Conclusion. 4.
I'm just gonna try a few times, a few commands on the Sterling Labs bot to see if it has any that most bots have. Because.
Okay, so.
Yep.
So the conclusion for Crux Prime is, like, it would be possible to go over the Caldera Mar route. I knew that was a recent route. They'll be possible to go over the Caldera Mar route, but that would just take you further than you need to. So I think going this way would be the best way. There are bounces, etc., to get you places. But enemy hopping, I want to see that, because enemy hopping is possible. Definitely would be possible. A very cool thing to actually see someone do.
Yeah, okay, so I'm just gonna remind that it's like 5/4 now.
Yes, it is. I was wondering, I figured we need to wrap it up at some point. Okay,
yeah.
Well, I think, okay. I'm relatively pleased that we've got potentially an extra run out of this stream. I'm quite happy with that. Because this seems like quite an interesting run. I think there's lots of room for optimization in it as well, and like completely different routes. So I'm looking forward to that. Yeah. Okay. Presumably I'll at some point make this available on the channel somehow. I don't know, maybe I edit some stuff. I don't know how any of this YouTube thing works. But yes, at some point, hopefully this will become available. So when I say thank you for watching, it will be more than just the watching, which I'm assuming at the moment, which I'm assuming is you, Visky. So, okay, so I'm hoping maybe at some point some other people will watch this. If they do, Visky, thanks for joining me. Thanks for making this possible. As usual, the developer channels aren't in the description this time. Actually, I can't finish on that. No, I'm annoyed. Okay, yes. Yeah, bear in mind, I'm not a dev. All of this was done by the developers, who are the people who you should give loads of credit for. So subscribe to the developers. They're on the bottom of literally all of my other videos, and if I remember, they'll be in the bottom of this one as well. With that, I've been NinjaOfLU. This has been Vicey. Vicey, you want to say bye?
Yeah.
Oh, you're going to keep going, but can you say bye to people online?
No, I think I'm gonna end too, but yeah, go sub to the devs. If there wasn't devs, I couldn't play the monument. Yeah.
The most important thing. Okay. And with that, I will see you next time. Thanks.